ladies and gentlemen. You outraged by the Hall of Fame vote?
Outrage? No, I'm kind of used to it. I mean, Beltre's a lock. You can make an argument for Mauer, but Todd Helton is the classic overthink by voters.
I used to love the Baseball Hall of Fame. I wouldn't say love it. Not like Dan O'Brien, not Dan O'Brien, Dan Roach, who baptized his son.
Yep.
In the sink of the bathroom in Cooperstown, which is not a lie.
That's real. That actually happened.
What do you mean baptized?
He took his baby and held him over the sink, put water in his hand in the sink, and put the water on his son's head. And now technically, Hardy, you got us. It's not a technical baptism.
Oh no, that is way more than I thought. So I'm not. There's no gotcha here. I thought you were making some kind of a joke or a metaphor, but he actually did.
No, he took his son deliberately into a place that dispensed water in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame, and then put water on this kid's head. But first of all, I'm never going to Canton, Ohio. It's not happening. Like, at least Cooperstown's I've been there, and at least it's like a quaint little place.
I think it lends itself more. The sport lends itself more to a Hall of Fame to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. And if you went to Canton, for instance, I'll give you all a rundown of all the Hall of Fames. If you went to Canton, I guarantee you wouldn't know who 75% of the people are. I mean, who played offensive line in the 50s.
With lots of linemen.
Yeah. And then the Springfield, the Basketball Hall of Fame is just everyone from high school to middle school to AAU. I mean, it's a whole collection of just everything.
It's just built into a mall.
Have you been there?
What, Springfield?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is it a World Basketball Hall of Fame? Because that's what I was told. It's not just U.S. based.
Yeah.
If you're a great Argentinian basketball phenom, you'll be there too.
That's correct.
Yeah. So who cares? And then I've been to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and the Hockey Hall of Fame is legit in a mall, where a Sears used to be.
Toronto.
It's in Toronto, and it's in a mall, and it's at where an Anchor store would be, and it is nothing to write home about.
Okay. You go in, Fred. You come out the other end. And you're like, wait a minute, is this one wing of it? Where's the rest of it?
It
literally is that.
It's an embarrassment.
Yes.
The Hockey Hall of Fame is an embarrassment.
It should be a shrine.
Because I love hockey. And you go there and you wow, there should be a lot of cool stuff.
I'd be more interested in the Hockey Hall of Fame than I would the Football or Basketball Hall of Fame.
Well, that's why I went, and it's right in Toronto. So, I went to Toronto to see a Maple Leafs game, and I'm like, okay, so it's, not hard to get there.
Right.
It's in the city.
It's hard to find.
Well, it's hard to find once you get in the building, yeah.
Yes.
It's next to a Taco Bell.
Exactly. And you walk in, you're like, am I in a mall?
Yeah, and you're in a mall, and then you go in.
Everything's underground.
And there's, what would you say? There's 5 kiosks or whatever you call it, where
Displays,
there's plexiglass
yeah, exactly,
displays.
the plexiglass displays.
And then you walk into another room and there's some trophies, and then Dan said, you think you're going into another room, and then you're out back in the mall.
And then it's why are they selling cell phone cases in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Well, you're like, no, let's just go get a beer. There's a bar right there. You're right back out on the street that you were just on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's unfortunate.
Very past the gift shop, Mm-hmm. So you buy a Christmas ornament and you're on your way. And so anyway, The Major League MLB Hall of Fame was always the best by far, and it always was the toughest. And when you go in, even if it's a player that played like Dizzy Dean or something, you Ty Cobb, you're aware of these guys. I mean, Ty Cobb just for his philanthropic efforts and his race relations efforts, but you're aware. I know Ty Cobb. I guess maybe it's not even true. But I guess it's been kind of overblown. But supposedly Ty Cobb was raised. Babe Ruth is this iconic,
almost mythical figure.
A mythical figure. I mean, he's an orphan who pointed, and just
Right.
I know, and even to a lesser extent, Stan Musial and these guys, Willie Mays,
Ted Williams.
I heard William Mays
Thank you.
every time the Hall of Fame is mentioned, Willie Mays comes up because they were saying Andrew Jones is the best defensive center fielder, and the guy's is he better than Willie Mays? We know who these guys are. We know. So when you go in, you're overwhelmed with these icons. Now, okay, so this is a double-edged thing, and I'm not going to state anything that probably everyone doesn't know. But it is true. And it's going to be an old man yelling into clouds, so you can save the emails because I know it. But because there is a cultural shift that's happening. So you're being punitive to the people. So if you don't know, Adrian Beltre got in. He should be a Hall of Famer. But then, and Joe Mauer got in, but by less vote percentage than Todd Helton. Joe Mauer got in, but I'll give you Joe Mauer. All right, so he played for Minnesota. He played his whole career there, and for a while he was hot stuff. And he was like a big prospect and stuff. So let's say there's a bit of a sliding scale. Fine, Joe Mauer. But then you put in Todd Helton. And a point I've heard been made, which is a good point, is that Billy Wagner missed by like a couple votes. If we went on the street right now, on the street, and got a collection of sports fans, people who identified themselves as sports fans, so not like, you know, people that never don't know from a baseball, but just they identified themselves as sports fans. Or how about this? We just took people who had an article of clothing on that identified a sports team. What percentage of them could tell you anything about Billy Wagner's career?
No one.
What percentage of them
Zero.
could tell you without guessing what sport he played?
Very few.
All right, that's over the line, dude. That's way too much. That's too much. Why would he be in the Hall of Fame? Who does that benefit but Billy Wagner? Why would Billy Wagner be in the Hall of Fame? If no one knows who he is, if you put a gun to my head right now and said, Fred, tell me every team Billy Wagner played for, I can't tell you with any certainty.
Played here.
Could. I had no idea.
He played here.
I had no idea.
Yep.
I know what he did for a living.
I think it was only one season, but he was here.
You think. You don't know.
No, I don't know.
I can tell you this. You know who Manny Ramirez played for. You know who Derek Jeter played for. You know who Roger Clemens played for. So, but here's the deal, is that young voters are going to be punitive to people that they felt did something immoral. But then they also don't want to be mean. So, like, the idea is now that these, by the way, I think the ballots being public had a negative effect on everything. First of all, this guy Derek Gould writes for the
St. Louis.
This is just me.
Yep.
But he writes for the Post-Dispatch, and he's annoying. He like loves baseball, loves it like he loves it like it's precious and like and he instead of just saying who he put in the Hall of Fame, he had his ballot and he put like a pen like sitting on the ballot, like a nice pen,
good
like
God.
Sitting on the ballot, and it's
right.
like you know, like go F yourself with your dumb job,
Was
following that stupid team around the country all summer.
Was it like a cross pen? Was it like a
like a nice like Mont Blanc pen?
Can't have a Bic. Can't be a Bic.
Yeah,
can't be like a Bic medium.
And it was like laying on the paper, like get out of here, dumbass. And he voted for 10 guys.
The max.
He voted for the max, and he voted for a bunch of jackasses.
Yeah.
And but he didn't vote for any of the steroids guy. Maybe he did, but probably not. But he's not even a young guy. But they don't want to be mean. So what they do is, instead of going, you know, this is fun, which all it's supposed to be is fun. It exists for nothing but fun. It is fun. It is the most meaningless of meaningless things. It is to have, it's for old people, that's what it's for. It's not for my kids. It's for old people. Old people take kids there to go, hey, look, these are the players when I was a kid. Look, there's cool videos of them.
I literally just did that this summer.
Right.
The exact thing you're talking
and it's
about.
not like your kids are like, you know what I really want to see is the bust of Stan Musial, because all I hear is great things.
Plaque of Stan Musial.
Plaque of Stan Musial. I want to see I want to see his Silver
Buster
Slugger
in the
Awards.
football.
My bad. I want to see. I've been there. I want to see, you know, his Silver Slugger Awards.
right.
So you're going. So the idea of like old man yelling at class. Well, yeah, that's me. When you're old and the players you grew up with are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, then it's for you.
Yeah,
and then it's for your kids. It's not for you right now because you weren't watching baseball. You were very young when these guys were playing that are getting in right now. Let alone the guys that were in when I was a kid. That's who it's for. It's for my dad, really. It's that the whole thing exists because they're old players from when people were kids.
But this is the time when you should be most excited about the players getting in based on your age and when you were watching, maybe even like going back as far as 10 years ago.
So
that's when you're supposed to be excited about it. And it's impossible to get excited about it when the voting has gone the way it's gone. And I thought that Maz had a great point on this yesterday, and I happen to agree with him. If you are going to base your voting on this strict regiment of war and statistics and everything, then just stop the vote. Have some calculus where you have to have a certain number reached, whether it's hits, whether it's home runs, whether it's WAR, whether it's career ERA, win-loss record, which is what kept Jack Morris out, from getting in on the real vote.
Even though he was the biggest star and he had these monumental, he had two monumental World Series.
Match up with what the people voted for. So Maz says, you know what? I have a vote. Take my vote away. If this is how it's going to be, and the majority of voters are just going to use a statistical analysis and not what their eyes or their heart tells them, then by all means, take it away, and we won't have to deal with this.
By the way, WAR is an inherently flawed stat, too. If you do any dive into the WAR stat, first of all, stats are invented by people. Like the analytics for the stat are invented by people. Like it's not like it exists. Hang on. Like it is a formula, but it is a formula that was invented by someone. Like the stats that go into making the WAR overall statistic were designed by a person. So that's an opinion. WAR is not a fact. It's an opinion.
Right.
Because the analytical markers you put to make the stat, it's someone invented, right?
An interpretation of facts.
Right.
Exactly.
It tries to measure the unmeasurable. It tries to measure. This whole thing is a field thing to start with.
Well, and fielding metrics, by the way, are completely opinion-based because UZR is or wherever that was, UZR, right?
Yeah,
Is based on where the person thinks the fielder should have fielded the ball,
right.
or where they think. So a lot of it is opinion, and or a lot of it is you invented WAR, so now you get to say everything. So I'm aware of how most of these stats work, but I'm telling you that someone invented the stat. Like there's certain that it becomes a math problem, but someone invented the criteria.
You get to a point in the Baseball Hall of Fame. We've talked about this before, Fred. You need 3 seconds. You bring up a player, and
it should be 3 seconds. It should be 3 seconds.
You know it, or you don't know it. And if you don't know it, then he doesn't belong in.
And you know what? Maybe it shouldn't be the writers. Maybe it should be the fans. I mean, at this point. All right, because let's go through. Adrian Beltre, I think, should be a Hall of Famer. But if you didn't vote for him, I get why you didn't vote for him. I think he should be a Hall of Famer, but he's not like an icon of the game.
Another guy who spent a year here.
And by the way, he got 95%. I know he spent a year here. I was here. Todd Helton's a joke. He's not even a star. Joe Mauer, fine. Billy Wagner, people can't say if he played baseball or not. Gary Sheffield was a bigger star than all of them combined. But they are admonishing him because they think he broke the rules.
Yeah, his 10 years are up, too.
I lived in Atlanta during Andrew Jones's career. He blew, by the way, like a long time. He sucked for a long time. Best defensive center fielder of all time. Huh? How do you know? That's an eyeball test, and you didn't watch everyone else play every day.
He was a phenomenal defensive center fielder.
And it doesn't matter, but you don't throw around that he was the best.
No, I understand.
Carlos Beltran's a bigger star than Beltran, Helton, or Mauer. Then you got obviously Alex Rodriguez and Manny Ramirez, and then no one else got any really votes.
Next year, but we're talking next year. Ichiro in Ichiro in. The debate around here is Dustin Pedroia is eligible for the first time next year.
I don't think Dustin Pedroia should be a Hall of Famer, but he should be a Hall of Famer in front of Todd Helton. I mean, he was a big star on big teams. Like, he was at least a star.
But he wasn't. See, I don't think he should be
in a Hall of Fame either. I don't think so at all, and I wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah.
If I had to vote this year, I would have voted for Beltre, Rodriguez, and Ramirez. And that's who I would have voted for.
I would have voted for just Beltre.
Fine, because you're punishing the steroid guys.
Well, it's not just that. It's the steroid guys who got busted after the rules went in place.
Yeah. Maybe I wouldn't vote for Rodriguez. I'd vote for Manny just because I don't think he'd care.
That's probably
like Rodriguez would super care. I think Manny wouldn't even understand.
Rodriguez is carefully crafted a better media persona in the hopes that he'll get in, and it's not going to happen.
He'd end up in like Cooperstown, Wyoming, or something. like Manny would like go to the wrong Cooperstown.
That's true.
Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was thinking it's just kind of all a conspiracy, right? It's, you got Todd Helton for, the Colorado Rockies and Mauer for Minnesota, these small market, middle of nowhere teams. Is it all just the Hall trying to get these guys in to sell more tickets? Like all these people from all these small cities come visit the glorious Cooperstown and sell more tickets and get more people into the Hall of Fame, like traffic into the Hall of Fame.
Well, if they're pushing for Rockies fans, They're really dead. But you might be right. But if they're pushing for Rockies fans, God bless them. I mean, you just let what's his face in
Larry Walker.
Larry Walker.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Larry Walker should be in the Hall of Fame. And I like Larry Walker for what he did with the Cardinals. But Larry Walker better than Todd Helton. By the way, did you see, just if you want to be a dork for a second, did you see Todd Helton's WAR outside of Colorado?
Not good.
No, it's good, but it's not great.
Not good enough, I guess is my point.
Matt is correcting us. Matt, go ahead.
This is Mark.
Oh, well, blame Nick.
All right. Love the show. Love the
Thank
show.
you.
Listen, about the Hockey Hall of Fame. I was at that Hockey Hall of Fame, Fred, and that was about 20 years ago. The Hockey Hall of Fame is it's on a bank. It's in the bank on the corner in downtown Toronto. It's really great. It's in an old bank.
That's the entrance. It's in a mall, dude. I wasn't there 20 years ago. I was there like under 10 years ago. It's in a mall, dude.
Right. It's backed up to a mall, but I mean the entrance is on the street.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did you really just call to say that?
You can leave the Hockey Hall of Fame and be. I went through a mall to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'm not mistaken.
That actually just happened. A guy called to correct you.
There's a street entrance. Well, there's a street entrance to the Cheesecake Factory at the mall in
Chestnut
Newton,
Hill.
In Chestnut Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, you get into Bloomingdale's in the Chestnut Hill Mall through a door.
Wait, you get into the Cheesecake Factory by going through. This is like a Goodfellas situation. You're going in through the back door and winding through the.
I've never been to a Cheesecake Factory.
I was just there. I was just there last weekend. I went in through the mall.
You don't know what you're missing, dude. It's delightful.
Yeah.
Oh, you get in through the kitchen, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying Cheesecake Factory. You're doing yourself a disservice by not going.
It's always very crowded.
It's always very crowded, and they have a wide variety of cheesecakes.
It's wonderful.
So you were pretty on the nose with it.
Yep.
You go in there and you have the cheesecakes. Travis, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's very crowded, but they turn the tables quick. I will say that.
Yeah, and they don't get tipped well. Go ahead.
I was like Wallach. I had to go to the Hall of Fame this past summer with the Cooperstown baseball team. You know, holy mackerel! Those people do not like kids coming to the Hall of Fame. They are yelling at you, and kids are annoying. I get it, but the way that they are unwelcomed from the minute they walk in the door. It is really quite remarkable.
What do they want couples to go on their honeymoon? Like, I mean, it's
yeah, right. And I want to say that last caller, the idea that anyone is traveling there outside of going to some ridiculous money-grabbing Disney baseball tournament.
I was pissed.
Insane.
COVID canceled my kid. No, well, I went because I was driving with my mom from Detroit to Canada or something. We went Detroit, New York to Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom would fly back then. She used to be.
I only went because I went to school out there, and it was on the way back.
I'd take my son to Cooperstown. My daughter would just be miserable, but I would take my son. I think he'd actually like it. But, yeah, if they're alienating kids, I don't really know who they think's going there. And I got pissed. Milo was supposed to have a tournament in Cooperstown, but then COVID happened. In COVID, everyone handled it really well. But I'll tell you, Todd Helton, man. And the idea that there were people, I heard a writer on a show like BS about Billy Wagner not getting in. And I'm telling you, man, Billy Wagner is Burt Blyleven.
By the way,
at least I know who Burt Blyleven is.
Right.
Billy Wagner is really, really pushing it.
All right, you ready for this? Not only did Billy Wagner play for the Red Sox, he played for the Red Sox while we were on the air. 2009, dude. He was on the Red Sox in our first year.
And I'll be honest with you, man. It's not like I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Played 15 games?
Yep.
I don't recall in the least. I don't remember caring about Billy Wagner ever. And I like baseball a lot. I'm not an expert. I'm not living and dying by it. You call yourself a fan. I don't find myself getting pissed off about it all the time, but I go to 10 to 15 games a year. I travel every year to go to a different ballpark. I've been to most of them. I do enjoy the game. I go to BC baseball games. I'm very involved in youth baseball. I like baseball a lot. And so I'm not telling, but I don't know anything about Billy Wagner. If I open up a pack of cards and a Billy Wagner's in there, I'm not putting it in a sheath. I'm not protecting it.
You don't remember the 13 2/3 innings he gave you for the hometown 9 back in 2009?
No. And I probably saw him pitch. There's a good chance maybe I was at a game if there was any chunk of home games in there. There's probably a good chance that I was at a game, as I've been a partial season ticket holder, which is a mistake. I would not advise doing that. Just better off secondary market right now because they're not very expensive.